Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Hello everyone and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce all of the wonderful products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau.
Want to get the truth about how your food was raised? Ask a farmer. We've had rough weather. Mark Viette shows us how to repair damage in the garden, and we visit the very center of Virginia to learn more about the farm economy in Buckingham County.
Welcome back everyone. We're coming to you from Mount Rush Farm in Buckingham County, and this is a county where agriculture is a major player in the local economy. And we're going to have more on that story later on in the show, but first Norm Hyde tells us that farmers are very eager to connect with consumers.
Today's farmer has to deal with more than just bad weather, low prices, and trade tariffs. Some news media and social influence leaders continue to push an agenda against modern agricultural practices. And since the vast majority of American consumers are more than 3 generations off the farm, they have no farming experience and are easily swayed. However, farmers themselves continue to be well respected by the public, so they have an opportunity to change minds if they can make a connection with a consumer.
I would just encourage you to reach out and have a conversation with farmers to understand why they are having the practices that they have. It is most often in the best interest of your food.
Last year, author and food policy speaker Michelle Payne told members of the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation at their annual convention that social media is where the next generation of consumers is searching for information.
Farmers naturally don't necessarily want to be public figures. We want to take care of our land and our animals. But if you're looking to connect with a farmer, what I always suggest to people is an obvious place to start is at the farmer's market. The next most logical place is to go on and try to find somebody with Virginia Farm Bureau. There's any number of Facebook groups and whatnot.
Social media is convenient and reaches many people easily, but sometimes the consumer wants to visit with a real farmer. How do you find a farmer to talk to when less than 2% of our population actively raises food? In many areas, you can start at your local school district.
Here in our county, we have a 4-H program where we have a livestock club, an environthon club, and various other different clubs that younger kids can be involved in until they're 19. We also have an FFA chapter here in our high school where we touch on livestock. We have a livestock judging team. We have a forestry judging team. We have a greenhouse where we operate and grow our own plants.
Mackenzie Wells is a high school senior already focused on finding a career in agriculture. Her friend Erin Small is studying to be a middle school agriculture teacher. Small says there are several great opportunities to meet farmers in Fluvanna County, like their county fair and the annual Old Farm Day celebration at Pleasant Grove Park.
Old Farm Day brings in, I think, a lot of the farmers in the community. Fluvanna has a lot of agritourism also. We got a lot of vineyards and orchards, and we've got a ranch down the road that does a lot of like weddings. And so I think going to places like that, you can also get in touch with the farming community. Our extension program here in the county is really effective with connecting the public to farmers. They've got different workshops at the community garden and at the schools. We've got a great Master Gardeners program here. So even getting in touch with those people, you never know who you'll connect with.
Today's consumers have questions about organic versus conventional farm production, how producers care for their animals, and even whether chocolate milk comes from brown cows. It doesn't. Payne says more producers are ready to talk than ever before, but both sides have to make the effort to have a conversation.
We all realize in agriculture today that we have to talk because the reality is people don't understand how their food is being raised. And I know, for example, I happen to think that a Holstein cow is the most beautiful thing on the face of the earth. Those black and white cows that give us milk are just gorgeous to me. But I also know that 99.9% of the population doesn't share that theory. But I will gladly talk with people about what it means to take care of these animals.
You just got to get up and go. There's a lot of places where you can get involved at vineyards and orchards. The master gardeners have classes, reaching out with extension, farmers markets. There's a lot of opportunities out there if you go and look for them.
You can connect with the Fluvanna County Young Farmers on Facebook, but to really talk to a farmer about your food, take a few minutes to learn where local farmers work or sell their products, or join them at a public event in your own community. In Fluvanna County, Virginia, I'm Norm Hyde.
Facebook is by far the most popular social media platform among farmers, with YouTube running close second. Those are followed by Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Pinterest. Depending on what you're looking for, you can watch the crop progress at your favorite farm or check to see what's in season at the local pick-your-own operation. Just search for local farms on the apps. Commentators like Farm Babe on YouTube and Twitter strive to explain why producers do what they do on a modern farm. The Virginia Farm Bureaus and Real Virginia's Facebook pages are a great place to start. But there is also the Plows and Politics blog, another good place to reach farmers.
I'm Mark Viette. Coming up on In the Garden, I'm going to talk about winter storm damage. Stay with us.
Farm Bureau is the insurance provider of choice for farmers. But did you know all Virginians can benefit? In fact, most of our members are not farmers. Members may take advantage of discounts on selected autos, trucks, mowers, and tractors on top of the many insurance offerings. Your $40 membership will easily pay for itself with their many savings options as well. Farm Bureau is made for Virginians. To learn more about the membership advantage, go to vafb.com or visit your local Farm Bureau.
This winter has been tough on gardeners. Mark Viette has some tips on repairing those damages in the garden.
Winter storm damage can occur in most places anytime from October, latter part of October, all the way through late spring, depending on where you live. It could be from ice, the buildup or accumulation of ice on branches, or it could be heavy wet snow on, it could be deciduous trees. These are trees that lose their leaves, or it could be evergreen things like boxwoods or hollies. Sometimes the damage can be worsened if your trees still have leaves. I'm in a little grove of pin oaks that my grandfather planted and my dad planted here. And pin oaks are known to retain their leaves late in the season. But other trees can hold their leaves. Crepe myrtle, Bradford pears. With the leaves, the ice or snow can accumulate, and sometimes your branches can weigh 50, 100, 200, even 300 pounds. I guess the first thing to always consider is safety. You do not want to get out in a garden if it's icy. You do not want to work underneath broken branches, which is quite a few behind me. You really need to hire someone who can do that. A lot of people make mistakes. When they are thinking of pruning, sometimes the leaves, especially evergreens, they obscure or hide power lines. And when these limbs broke, right above, I looked, I said, oh wow, those power lines are 23 feet above the ground. So if you're on a ladder and you've got a pole saw, you have to be very careful. So always remember, safety is number one. This is a viburnum. It held its leaves late into the season, and then it was laden with ice. And as you can see, quite a few areas snapped with the heavy load of ice. Probably each branch had maybe 300 pounds of ice. So after the damage, you can prune it throughout the winter. This is a plant that will start new shoots from the base. So you just come in and you want to get the weight off some of the branches. So I'm going to come right in here and remove the weight. Always be careful. That's the key. Wear gloves, wear eyewear if needed. And once the weight is removed, then the larger branches can be removed, and these are really good handy saws. So what do you do if you have the damage like this with this gumball tree? Well, in this case, we're going to remove it. Too much damage. Do not replace trees with trees that are fast growing, like a weeping willow. Even Bradford pears are fast growing. They're subject to breakage. Some of your maples, they'll have multiple leaders at the top, and one day you'll go out and they'll be split. So make sure you plant a good tree. But again, safety is important, and when you're dealing with this kind of damage, you do need to start over. You know, that's what gardening's all about. Starting over with a new garden. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
For more garden tips, go to inthegardenradio.com.
Chef Maxwell takes a Virginia favorite, country-style ham, and creates a delicious recipe up next in the heart of the home.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise. Spend time with their friends. And then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
Hey, look, it's those guys. Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
Country-style ham is a Virginia favorite in many dishes. Today, Chef John Maxwell uses ham in a recipe for a breakfast dish that's good any time of the day in the heart of the home.
Hi, welcome to Heart of the Home. We're here at Meadow Hall and Meadow Event Park in Doswell, Virginia, where every week we get a chance to play with great Virginia food. And today we get some specials. We got a country ham, we got sweet potatoes. It's just marvelous. We got Virginia in a pancake. All right, so I've got some eggs cracked into here, and I'm gonna add a little bit of flour. So I'm gonna mix that up. We're really looking for a kind of pancake consistency. I'm going to add some sweet potato into there to help pull some of that stuff off the side. Now this is one of those kinds of recipes where you can be off a little bit on pretty much any part of it and still have a really excellent product. So I got these. Now I'm going to throw in a little bit of country ham, because Virginia is famous for its country ham. And I'm going to add some green onion tops. I think this might be able to use another egg, but we'll see. All right, so I got some green onion tops. I'm going to add that extra egg. Yeah, that's about right. That's about right. What we're looking for is something that I can spoon. Just take a spoonful out. So that's there, that's ready. I'm going to move over to this side. I'm going to turn on the skillet. I'm going to add some of the olive oil. Now, depending on what you're going to cook, sometimes it's best to heat the pan and then add the oil. Other times it's best to add the oil and then heat the pan. In this one, I want the oil to go down into like the pores of the metal, so I wanted to start it cold, and as the pores expand, it'll pull that oil down into it. Now I've got this all mixed in. I can see if it'll take any more of the solids. I think I can put a little bit more of the ham in here. Right? And if I had anything else that I wanted to put in here, I could. This is a pretty flexible recipe. So, this isn't one that lends itself well to cheese. I wouldn't put cheese in it because of the saltiness of the ham. You'd probably want to stay away from that. And anything else that might be salty. The ham is got all the salt this recipe is going to need. Right? So, okay, and we're going to let them cook for a minute or so on one side, turn them over, and cook them a little bit on the other side. All right. So we're going to turn these over now. Okay, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Now I'm going to get the plate. I'm going to give these a couple of minutes to get hot all the way through. Since they're so thin, they're going to be already cooked pretty much. So they've risen up as far as they're going to rise. The eggs have cooked in the center. So now all we're worried about now is making sure that they're brown on the other side. So here we come. Okay, there we are. Country ham and sweet potato pancakes. That sounds like breakfast. It sounds like whenever I'm hungry. So join us next week on Heart of the Home, where we get to play with great Virginia food.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com, as well as on Chef Maxwell's website at chefjohnmaxwell.com. Salt-cured ham has been around since Roman times. Here in the Old Dominion, the Jamestown colonists combined European and Native American techniques to begin curing ham in the early 1600s. Country hams were good trade items during the colonial period because they didn't spoil. By the beginning of the 20th century, most Americans lived off the farm, and country-style ham became a holiday treat. To be called a Smithfield ham, it must be cured and processed inside the city limits of Smithfield, Virginia. Today, a 116-year-old Smithfield ham remains on display at the Isle of Wight County Museum.
Buckingham County is the geographical center of Virginia. As Dave Miller reports, it's also the center of a thriving farm economy that's serving its surrounding urban areas.
Buckingham County is roughly located in the center of a triangle formed by Charlottesville, Farmville, and Richmond. Formed in 1761 from the southeast part of Albemarle County, this rural community had only one stoplight for years. But that remoteness may be its strength because it allowed agriculture to thrive here.
We have quite a bit of equine in the county, horses for pleasure. Beef cattle operations probably take up most of the actual open land. And we produce hay for the horses and export market to other areas in the state. We have a very active beef cattle association in the county that markets into the north as well as to the west. Poultry is a major producer in the county. We have quite a few poultry operations. We have greenhouse nursery operations in the county. Most of the land in the county, though, is devoted to forestry.
It is a very rural county. However, we have access to some major cities, Charlottesville, Richmond, and then Lynchburg, and even Farmville. We have access to all those places for markets for what we do here.
Buckingham is the fourth largest county in the state, with 391 farms covering almost 84,000 acres. Hay and forage are the top farm sector, worth $17 million each year. Poultry and eggs lead the way for livestock at almost 16 million. Forestry is an important part of the rural economy here as well, with an annual harvest value of 12.8 million. Hogs and pigs bring in almost 11 million a year. Cattle and calves generate 5.2 million. Horse farms are growing, and there is a small amount of row crops like corn, soybeans, and wheat. Most Buckingham County producers have a mix of farm operations.
My houses are only 4 years old. Mine are probably more up to date than a lot. Like I have a computer that pretty much controls everything in the house, from ventilation to feeding to watering. A lot of the older houses, everything's a lot more manual, flipping switches and stuff like that. And Tyson's, a lot of people are upgrading their houses. We have about 140 commercial brood cows, and I just recently bought some registered cattle, so that's something I was going to play around with in the near future. And then I sell hay, just mixed grass, round bales.
We are contract growers for Smithfield Foods. We finish gilts, so we're on the multiplication side of things. So our pigs, the goal for our pigs is to leave here and go to sow farms where they'll then be bred.
Although it is a livestock-intensive production area, a few Buckingham County producers are raising vegetables, especially the new Amish families. Producers here have good markets close by for everything they grow, and the industry is adapting to growth.
We are still very rural out here, and we're thankful for that. But town is coming closer. But we have seen a good trend here in Buckingham with farmers holding on to their farmland, young farmers getting involved and becoming the next generation on the farm.
The big thing I've seen in my lifetime and in the past 20 years is we've gone away from tobacco. We were a major tobacco producing area. We raised dark fire tobacco. That's all but gone. There's a little bit in the county, I think, towards the southern end, but that's very minuscule compared to what we had at one time. I'd say that probably the evolution of bringing horses into the county, pleasure horses, and people raising those, that's changed things quite a bit. I believe our quality of our beef cattle has improved drastically in the county.
Buckingham County, like I said, has a lot of pride in their agricultural community. We see anywhere from large farms with a lot of cropland to small hobby farms, sustainable farming that people like to come in here and with a few acres and practice. And Buckingham County is very open to that and does support agriculture in this area. And it's a great group of people. Everybody likes to work together and likes to get together and enjoy each other's fellowship.
Buckingham County has remained rural for years, but growth is slowly coming as nearby urban areas spread. The farmers here are eager to show their new neighbors how they take good care of their land and how hard they work to produce a healthy food supply for everyone. In Buckingham County, I'm Dave Miller.
That's going to do it for this edition of Real Virginia. We are so glad you could join us to celebrate the bounty Virginia has to offer. Whether it's in your home, your garden, or your landscape, we are proud to say that this is Real Virginia. So for everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a good week.
Home will always be Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia.